told you not to do that. So the challenges as a mother we deal with and as a woman, it's heavy. We carry a heavy burden. Lots of the responsibility falls on us when a child doesn't do right. Normally they says, they might point at dad not being, but it's always, Mom, you didn't do right. You didn't raise them right. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. So I can relate to Hannah, okay? So in addition, Hannah trusted God's knowledge of her heart. In one of the verses it said they thought she was drunk or either losing her mind. She was moving her lips, no words. You saw somebody doing that, you would call probably 911, right? Trying to put them in a closed room and tight white jacket or something. But she was praying and meditating and getting a closer relationship and speaking to God. She wasn't drunk. She wasn't intoxicated or anything. She was communing with God at that moment, okay? So we don't necessarily sometimes have to say a word. God knows our heart. He knows what we're thinking before we even think it. He knows our pain before we even encounter that struggle. He knows what's ahead of us, and he has prepared us with certain things in life. Probably those trials and tribulations we're going through now is strengthening us for something that's tougher down the road. He's building up our armor, just like in the military. When we're ready to go off to war, we have to be trained. We got to be ready and prepared. We got our armor, our suits, battle gear. We going into battle. We have to be prepared. So those things, sometimes we have to look behind us and said, that struggle was a teaching moment. That struggle was a strengthening moment. That struggle prepared me for a better opportunity. That struggle makes me able to get through that storm that's ahead. Okay? So Hannah knew this. She had that connection with God and was able to speak without speaking. You know about nonverbal cues? She was talking with him. She was, like for the young people would say, rapping with God. She was like one-on-one. Not even Eli, the priest, identified that at that moment. Okay? So with Hannah committing this vow, a commitment to God to give him back this boy child, some might question, well, she was bargaining with God, trying to negotiate. Who does she think she is? But I didn't read it that way. I saw Hannah as being willing to give up her most precious gift, that child. And I saw myself in her and saying, wow, what a big sacrifice. She wants a child so badly that she would even bore a child and still then give it back to the giver that gave her that gift. What an awesome thing. Now that is true vow, okay? And Hannah's experience in that portion of the Bible that I read, I saw Hannah's vow in 3 different things. She had the vow to Christ, to God, then her answer from God by giving her conceiving with a child and having it be a boy, and then the fulfillment of her vow to God by giving it back. See, that is all one process. If one of it didn't happen, the whole thing would not be valid. All those 3 steps had to occur, in my view, for it to be fulfilled. Okay? So Hannah's vow was twofold. The commitment. So you had to be committed to that vow. You can't walk in and say, well, God, if you only give me that promotion in that job, or bless my husband with this, or bless my child, I promise you I will give you, and don't follow through. You have to be committed. Because what if God was to do that to us and said, I promised to send you a Savior and didn't send him? Where would we be? So if we give our word to him, we have to keep it. Same way we tell our children, you give your promise, you're going to clean your room, clean it. Don't wait till next year. You said, I will do it, Ma, by today. I expect it to be done by close of business today. That might be the military in me, but I expect it to be done by the close of business today. So there is a part on us to have a commitment of the vow we take with God. The next one is Hannah's need. Hannah was devoted to serve. You have to, from the heart, be devoted to what you're doing. Because in the Bible, she said that no razor shall be touched on his head. Now, I don't want to go too much deep into this because I studied this, but her son was born a Levite, but he would be raised by a Nazarite because of not cutting off the head, right? So she was devoted to this vow so much that she's willing to raise him something else and have him go to live with Eli the priest and be raised as a Nazarite versus what he was born into as a Levite. That's devotion. That's like me saying, okay, I'm going to make this vow to you, Lord, and if you give me that child, I will convert to Judaism and be a Jew, right? I am willing to change everything because I believe in what you're going to do. I have that much faith that I'm going to give my all to you. Give my all to you. So Hannah prayed also earnestly. Her pleading before the Lord should encourage us all who are desperate souls to pray and pray and pray and pray. Never stop praying. Quite often, sometimes when things get good, everything is, the sea is calm, everything is going well in life, we back up on our prayer. We back up on our lessons. We're too busy because we're climbing corporate ladder. And I'm guilty of that too. I've had to catch myself being in the military and as an officer being bombarded with all the taskers and all the demands and, trying to juggle career and children. And I'm like, okay, this afternoon when I get home, I'm going to read that lesson that I had planned to read this morning that I didn't get to because I had to run out. And sometimes we have to step back and say, what's important? And I've had to do that self-reflection as a woman and said, what is important in life? My spiritual walk and my relationship with God is much more important than anything else. Because when the time comes at the end, when we all die, you think anyone is going to remember, oh, Colonel Giscombe, rank, structure, status, what home we lived in, whatever things and stuff we have. That would be non-important. None of those things are important to God. We could be homeless and wearing rags. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what we look like. Okay, we got 50 pounds we want to get off. Okay, we're too short, we're too heavy, we're a different color. He does not care. He loves us just the way we are. And one of the most important things other than our spiritual life is having our children see us having a spiritual life. And at the convocation, every time I get to speak, my dear grandmother is passed away now, but I said if it wasn't for a praying grandmother, I would not be here and be the woman that I am. I'm not perfect, but I'm much better off than if I didn't have someone teach me the love of Christ. So learning that through her prepared me for all these life challenges. prepared me to be the best woman that I can be, the best mother that I can be. And the best woman and mother that I can be is to be an example of who she was to me. I saw her as this goddess. Her spiritual walk was so, I still don't think I'm nowhere close to where she's at. She was at as I was seeing her. I looked at her and revered her in her awe. When I would remember in the morning, she would wake us all up because she lived with us all our lives. I was blessed to have her under the same roof as I did. And nowadays, kids don't have that much. We've kind of spread out, and everyone is living different states, different neighborhoods. And that's one of the blessings about growing up in a place like Panama or like the South, and families stay close by. The children grow up with that matriarch, that grandmother. That's the foundation and the that holds the family together. She said it once, get up. No one said anything else, everybody was up. She spoke once. Once. That was our alarm clock in the morning. And we knew exactly what to do. We went to the living room, the family